Alright YouTube, so we're back talking about some Final Fantasy VII Remake, and today I want to focus on sort of the next installments for the remake project. Now, as of right now, we don't know how many parts there's going to be, and that's kind of what we're here to discuss. And what we're looking at today is coming from the Ultimania guide. This is currently being translated by, I think, one main person over on Twitter, but there's obviously a lot of people out there that are just quoting things from the book. The main person I'm aware of is Aitakamochi, something like that. I'm almost definitely butchering that name, or Audrey, as I suppose she goes by. Now, before we hop into it, a couple of smaller things I want to discuss regarding the Ultimania. For one, is it only Japanese? Is there not an English version out or coming out? Because if there's not, I'm kind of glad I didn't buy one yet. Something else I want to mention is I haven't looked super into the translations coming out for the Ultimania guide, but I did happen to see earlier that apparently there's like 4 Sephiroths in Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's like a future Sephiroth, a past Sephiroth, and like some failed Hojo experiment Sephiroths. Or I don't know, dude. It's too much. Like they're doing too much. I don't need a bunch of time travel, crazy Kingdom Hearts shit. I know it's Tetsuya Nomura, but still, like, just give me Sephiroth in the North Crater, end-game boss, and we're fighting remnants of him throughout the story that are made by Genova or whatever. Like, that's all we need. We don't need a bunch of different Sephiroths through time or whatever. I don't know exactly if that's 100% what's going on, but that's what this person claims is the translation. What the hell, dude? Something else I want to touch on really quickly before we move on is I just happened to see this on Audrey's Twitter translation she did regarding the ending with Zack winning against the Shinra soldiers, which is presumed to be an alternate timeline, and they kind of confirm that here. They say, in order to make sure that the two clouds do not recognize each other's existence, it is assumed that they should not exist in the same time and space, but aside from that, the rest is unknown. When Zack is victorious against Shinra in the scene, a picture of the dog stamp also flies into view, but this version of stamp contradicts the previous design seen in the game. What could this possibly mean? And lastly, the Buster Sword that Cloud uses belongs to Zack, but in this scene they both have the same sword. If Zack is alive, then Cloud shouldn't have this sword, but... ? So they do seem to be alluding to multiple timelines or worlds or universes or whatever the case. They could also just be to throw us off. Maybe we fire up Remake Part 2 and Zack is alive in our game, in our world, in our timeline. We run into him and call him or something. Who knows? Who knows what the hell is going to happen? It's kind of confusing, but I wanted to touch on it since we made a video about it the other day. Anyways, on to the main part of the video. So we have a quote from Nomura and a quote from Kitase regarding the future installments, the sequels, whatever you want to say, for the remake project. And they're actually pretty interesting. First up, we have this that says, Nomura said that the next part could be smaller than the Midgar section to aid development times. If we divide the story into large parts, it'll take longer to make. If we divide it into more detailed, smaller sections, the development will be faster. I hope to release the next one as soon as possible. So we have a few things to talk about. For one, them intentionally making the next part smaller just to make development quicker and easier is something I absolutely do not want. That's called rushing it, that's called cutting corners. And to intentionally make it smaller than the first game, I don't want that either. Don't get me wrong, my first playthrough of Remake was about 40 hours, but that's me doing mostly everything the game has to offer outside of, maxing stuff. Like just, doing all the side quests, doing most of the collectible stuff, and beating the game. It took about 40 hours. I don't want less than that with the next part. Plus, I think pretty much everybody's expecting a pseudo open world game with the next part since we're leaving Midgar and we should be on the overworld going from Column to the Chocobo Ranch to Mithril Mines, Junon, all that stuff. Like, we're expecting some sort of a big map to explore. I don't know how you do that, but it's smaller than the Midgar segment. Also, don't know how you would do the sequels from here on out linear, since we should be walking from location to location, right? We should be, again, walking from Calm to the Mithril Mines, which would involve a big world to explore, an open world. It wouldn't be corridors in linear like the first game, I would assume. Now, according to this translation of this quote, he does say the next part, but if he does happen to mean like a DLC or expansion pack for the game, that's perfectly fine. That doesn't have to be as big as the base game, obviously. Also, when it comes to expansion packs for a game, they're generally not going to be super pricey. They're not going to be the full $60 purchase like another game would be. I know in some cases that probably does happen, but an expansion for the remake would be probably like $30 or something, maybe a little more, a little less. Now, we have no idea if that's anything they even plan on doing with the remake project, but that's something more people could get behind because a lot of people have opted out of the remake project because they don't want to make multiple $60 purchases. Now, the first part of that we looked at that says, Nomura said that the next part could be smaller than the Midgar section to aid development times might just be this website or this like editor/author's interpretation of the quote, but still what I said previously still stands. I don't necessarily want a smaller game. I personally want a bigger game. I want more content with the sequel, obviously. Who doesn't want that? I want quality over quantity, but I would still like more to do. Next up, we have the quote from Kitase that says, we have a general idea of how the story will play out, but we haven't decided exactly how many parts, nor can we confirm anything. There's speculation that there will be 3 parts, but we're just doing things one step at a time. So with this, we also have a couple interesting things to take away from it. For one, it seems like they have at least the basis of the story, or most of the story, already kind of planned out. They just don't know, all the content that's going to be in each installment. So they don't know how many parts there's going to be, but they still have like a baseline from, I guess, beginning to end for the story. I also found the second sentence very interesting because he mentions how there's speculation that there's going to be 3 parts. What I'm unsure of, if he's talking about like the fans, the community, a lot of us have been saying most likely there's going to be 3 parts, or if he's talking about amongst the developers, amongst Square Enix, that they think maybe 3 parts, but they're unsure. Either way, however you want to interpret it, whatever the meaning is, it's the first time we've ever heard any of the developers, to the best of my knowledge, even address the amount of games that there might be. For Kitase to even address that there's speculation of 3 parts is itself news. So I don't know, man. I think 3 is a safe bet. Anything more than that seems excessive. Like, there shouldn't be 4 parts to the remake project. They could definitely fill it, I'm sure. We've seen them add a lot of new stuff with this first game. But I just feel like that's too many games. Now, if they want to do, like, let's say 3 parts, but then in between each part, they're doing DLCs and expansion packs like we talked about before that add, locations and story and things to explore, that's fine. I'm okay with that as long as they're worth their price. Either way, we won't have news for a while on part 2 or when it's going to come out or how many parts it's going to be. People got to remember, like, if you're going off just the actual release date of April 10th, the game's only been out like 19 days, like almost 3 weeks at this point. Like, the game's barely been out, right? Part 1. We're not going to see part 2 for at least at minimum a year or more. And it's probably going to be even more than that. Probably like minimum 2 years. And obviously with the state of the world currently, I imagine development has been stopped or significantly slowed down. So it's going to take even longer than it initially would have. By the way, minutes, that's the video. Pass off to you guys. What are your thoughts on the next installments for the remake project? How many parts do you think they're going to be? Do you think the next game is going to be bigger or smaller? As always, leave your thoughts and more in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to stay updated with more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter at @dashingdavid. I'm a Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Give me a smile, give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while. Quit acting like a baby, or at least less like a child.